If you've lost your job, your confidence has no doubt taken a huge hit. And today we're looking at steps you can take to rebuild your self-worth. I was looking at two LinkedIn posts yesterday and today that really moved me, so much so that I decided to create this video about it. And they moved me for a couple of reasons, and I'll talk about those specifics in a minute. But the things that stood out to me, even though they were talking about how they lost their job, or how they've been in a job search for so long, was the grace, the vulnerability, and frankly, the courage they were displaying as they showed up on LinkedIn in this case. So, losing your job isn't just about losing money. It's about losing your identity. You start to feel, you question your skills and even your value, and then what's going to come in the future, and it's really, you get mired down in that. And today we're going to explore some real struggles. We're going to talk about some real solutions and some real steps you can take to start turning things around. My name's Rob. I am a recovering 27 plus year HR professional that's had the opportunity to work at some really cool, iconic brands. And I am on a mission to take what I've learned at those places and share them with you. And if you can get your dream job or land that promotion, or hell, just navigate corporate life, then that's a win for me. So today we're talking about regaining, I should say, your confidence after a job loss. The first post I was moved by was by a gentleman named Adam, and I'm going to link his post in the description. So take a look at it, because I'm sure you'll agree. It took courage for him to write that and put it out there in the world. But what struck me was these phrases, and I'm going to read for a second, so bear with me, but I'm in despair. I lost everything. I wake up every morning in a deep depression. First of all, those personally resonated with me, and I'm sure it resonates with a lot of you out there. When you've lost your job, you start questioning your own worth, and it sounds like that's where Adam is today, despite his years of experience. And you feel lost, you're frustrated, and you're unsure of what other employers are looking for, and you can't get out of that mindset. It's absolutely maddening, and it's a very dark place to be. The other example I noticed this morning was a different situation, but it was disheartening for a different set of reasons. It was this employee who just was notified that she was laid off by email without HR support. It infuriates me, and you've probably seen that reaction from me in other videos, which I will link here. But we don't have to do that. We can take, as HR professionals, as corporate employees, we can take care of the people as they exit and help them exit with their dignity. So those are just two examples we're going to explore a little further. I'm going to link both posts again in the description below. And who knows, maybe somebody will click on those links and that leads to a job for one of these two folks. And if that's the case, I want to hear about it, because that would be such an awesome turn of events. So check them out in the links below. I think these are solid professional people who deserve, as does everybody who's lost a job right now, they deserve to find good employment so that they can get back on their feet. So as I'm sure this all sounds familiar to a lot of you, especially now, right? We've got layoffs announced every other day. Don't get me started with the government layoffs, but lots of people are out of work. I see a sea of LinkedIn, open to work badges put on people's profiles every day when I look in LinkedIn. It's a lot. And it's a lot for me to read. I can only empathize and imagine what it's like to be in that situation. So my heart goes out to you, but that is what has driven me to kind of share some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about in this video. So let's get to it. So again, this all sounds familiar, and it's normal, right? Your self-doubt. Was I ever good at my job? Why did I get laid off? Many times getting laid off is not about if you were good or not at your job, even though it may feel that way. I believe Lauren, whose post I saw this morning, she's like, I got laid off even though I had exceeds expectations in Q4 of 24. That says to me, it's not about you, Lauren. It's about the bottom line. It's about streamlining effectiveness or what have you, or eliminating redundancies. It has nothing to do with you. So get that out of your head. You still have value to bring to an organization. Do I hate how they executed it? 100%. I would say don't waste the energy fixating on that. Focus on what you can control. And it's how you've already started that, right? So I'm going to speak to Lauren for a second. I loved how you approached your LinkedIn post with gratitude, and it was exceptional gratitude. You thanked almost probably everybody you're connected to, and I love that. But that's the first step in the right direction. You're in a good mindset, and the challenge for you moving forward between now and your next job is keeping that positive mindset, that growth mindset at the forefront of you, so you don't fall backwards. Adam's in a different situation. He's been looking for a while, and his mindset is very fixed because he's gotten a little headway, and then he's always yanked back from a standpoint of applying for jobs, getting the interview, but never getting the role, that type of stuff. So we're going to focus on both scenarios, and hopefully both of you can get into that right mindset that will, again, keep you in a good headspace, but also lead to those opportunities that I'm sure are coming for both of you in the not too distant future. The other thing too is, and I've personally felt this, when you are, when you have defined yourself by your job or by the company you work for, my mind goes to my time at Southwest Airlines to be an example. I used to define myself as a Southwest employee. I was so proud to tell people I worked there. Same for some other organizations I've worked at. So if you find yourself in that headspace, you feel like now your identity has been yanked away, and that's hard to digest and to rationalize out and to get your head in the space of looking for that next job, looking for that next company that you're going to identify as strongly with. Don't get wrapped up in that. And it's hard to say, but I'm going to give you some tips in a minute to get you more in that growth mindset as it pertains to that next job. The first thing you have to do is understand that you are not broken. Your value hasn't changed. You still have a lot to bring to a company, to a team, to a leader. We just have to get you matched up with that. And that's where that resilience you're going to need to muster and dig deep for is going to come into play. So first thing you need to do, and I speak from experience here, is stop the spiral of self-doubt. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, but I know, as I've said in other videos, I'm a dweller. I will sit and stew and marinate on something, mostly the negative stuff, until I've gone to this really dark place and it's really hard to get out of it. So the key here is focusing first on separating your feelings from facts, right? The facts are you were good at your job. Lauren, you said you got really good Q4 last year results. You got a good review, right? Focus on that. Decouple it from the fact that you got laid off. You still had good results over here. And I'm going to say this in a few minutes, but start jotting down the stuff you're proud of, the stuff the accomplishments you're proud of that you achieved in, because that's going to help anchor you in the positive and get you out of this negative, I have no value headspace, right? Practically speaking, we got to stop relying solely on job boards, right? I've been there. You scroll LinkedIn, you scroll Indeed or whatever it is, and you're applying, and it's demoralizing because it's wash, rinse, repeat left with greasy hair. I think it's funny that I'm putting a hair analogy out there. It's kind of ironic, but anyway, I digress. It is demoralizing, and what you've got to do is mix up your approach. It can't be just about the applications. Maybe it's stop going to the Indeeds and the LinkedIns of the world. Maybe it's going directly to companies that you're targeting that would scratch that itch for you of having a company whose values align with that of yours. So, do an assessment or an inventory rather of what your values are, what you valued in the company you worked for before, and what you're going to look for in a future employer, and target those companies. Go on their websites, network with people on LinkedIn, leverage LinkedIn. You both know how to use it as an example. Now target those people, write thoughtful messages. Hey, I'm looking for a job, et cetera, et cetera. Ask ChatGPT on how you should phrase that. I think that's a great way to start, especially if you're having writer's block. But that can be a good way other than just relying on, I'm going to hit submit. I'm going to fill out this application, even though I just submitted my resume, which is maddening. And 2 hours later, I'm finally hitting submit. Anyway, So think of kind of engaging with people outside of just the application process, right? And the other thing too, it's goes back to kind of a social media golden rule, but on LinkedIn, sharing posts, being vulnerable, like the both of you, Lauren and Adam were, commenting on other posts, lending support, writing recommendations for people, asking people to write recommendations for you on LinkedIn. Those types of things can get you seen. As an example, I don't know Lauren and Adam. I've never met them. I absolutely wish them both well, but I wouldn't have seen their posts if other people that I was connected to didn't comment on their post or reshare their post. So again, you can see the magic of LinkedIn or other social media in that regard. So getting out there, engaging with the tool and not just being a bystander is going to get you connected with a lot more people and a lot more eyes on you. The one other thing I would say for both posts was it was so heartening to see the outpouring of support from total strangers. I never comment on other people's posts. Not going to lie. I commented on Adam's, and I think I just saw him connect with me, which is great. I'm happy to be a resource. Adam, if you're seeing this, if somebody in my network is somebody you're interested in being connected to, I'm happy to make an introduction. Just send me a message and we'll make it happen, or anything else I can do. Same goes for you too, Lauren. The other things that can keep you in a good mindset is think of what fills your bucket. So I think about, okay, if I'm going to structure my day and I'm not going to apply for jobs all day, I'm going to do that. But what about volunteering, right? What other things am I interested in? So I remember reading in one of their profiles that, they're interested in civil rights. They're interested in animal welfare, right? Go find some volunteer opportunities that kind of fill that bucket for you. The other, it will keep you in a good headspace because you're doing something you're passionate about, but there are like-minded people also volunteering or also working at those organizations that could be good networking opportunities. Maybe they're not hanging out on LinkedIn because they're actually at work. So networking and being present and demonstrating what value you can bring could lead to other opportunities that you're blissfully unaware of. So get out there. Plus, it'll make you feel good and it'll get you out of that dark, sitting on the couch watching TV and feeling really hopeless. It'll get you focused on something positive. And I think that's half the battle. Will it happen overnight? Probably not, but you'll chip away at it, and suddenly you'll find that you're looking forward to getting out of bed in the morning because you feel like you have a purpose. So think about volunteering. The other thing I think about is, well, I'm on YouTube right now. So maybe that's another way you can demonstrate your value, right? Rather than just simply, having a great resume, applying to all these jobs. Maybe you can say, hey, I'm going to start a channel and I'm going to show, here's my skill set. I'm going to talk about what I bring to the table. I'm going to talk about relevant topics in my industry or what I'm interested in going into. Really think outside the box. And maybe, who knows, you could develop a side hustle. I'm going to reference, again, my friend Jen, who I've never met, but I'm rooting for her. She has started I'm going to say she's in a different phase of life. I do recall that she got laid off at one point, but she decided to start a YouTube channel. And she went from, I'm just going to really Reader's Digest it for you. She went from 0 subscribers at the beginning of January 24 to, by the end of last year, she had over 90,000 subscribers and had fully monetized her channel. Now, this has become a passion project for her. She has created a second income stream, and she is almost at 100,000 subscribers. And Jen, if you're watching this, I'm rooting for you. Check her channel out, I'll link it in the description below. It's called Silver and Solo. She's absolutely charming. But I offer that as an example of maybe you need to think about different outlets, different income streams that you can develop while you're in this interim phase. And maybe it becomes a passion project for you that you're out there, making, say, videos about what you do, and that adds value to somebody else, because I think that's another way to get in a good headspace, but also maybe potentially create another income stream. Heck, that's what I'm trying to do here. I went back to my HR roots, and that's stuff that I want to share with all of you. So this seems like a self-serving time to say, if you like this type of content, I would be absolutely honored if you'd give me a like. Let me know in the comments how you're doing, what you're struggling with, or if there's something I can celebrate with you. And please, I'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. Okay, well, anyway, back to this. So going back to how you can take some action to regain some control, right? I think this is super simple, but it helps. And again, I've been on the couch in a dark place that gets darker and darker every day the longer you sit there. So start the day with, okay, I need to do something for myself. I need to get out and get some exercise. If it's walking the dog, if it is just walking around the block or going to the gym, whatever it is, whatever that gets you out, up, and with a purpose, first thing in the morning is going to pay dividends throughout the rest of the day. You get everything flowing. Your mind starts to be in a better space because you're centering it. You can be more creative, be more insightful, and prepared to go then, which is the next thing, is time block yourself. When you get home from the gym or exercising or whatever you're doing, now you're going to sit down and apply for those jobs. I would say make a goal, a small achievable goal every day of, I'm going to apply for, say, 3 jobs. But that could take a while because don't get lost. And I was doing this not too long ago where I would just hit submit. I'd upload a resume just to get it done. Put some thought into every job you're applying for. Tailor that resume to highlight your experience as it relates to that job. Again, you have to make sure every opportunity is met with quality from your side so that if that recruiter's looking at you for 3 to 5 seconds, your resume, that it jumps off and they say, oh, I want to talk to Adam. I want to talk to Lauren. You don't want to miss those opportunities just to check it off your list and move on with your day. But set those small goals, apply for 3 jobs, and maybe that other one is make a new connection of the day. I know both of you, Lauren and Adam, you both put yourself out there on LinkedIn and were vulnerable and courageous, and you've gotten lots of connections. I remember reading all of the wonderful notes of encouragement, the comments for each of you, and I thought the other thing too that stuck out to me was people that you probably don't know were like, hey, send me your resume, DM me. All those, and applying for jobs, it's actually doing that networking. So set a goal of 1 to 2 connections. Set up time, set up coffee, whatever it is. What can you learn from these people? Even if they don't have an open job for you right now, or they're not in a position to hire, those connections are still valuable because you never know when will come open. Set those goals, get out of the house, focus on you, and then focus on things that fill your bucket. I mentioned volunteering. I mentioned YouTube. What else? If there's any other ideas, let us know in the comments what else you can do to keep yourself in a positive mindset. You know, the other thing that came up that you might want to consider is, I know in Adam's post, he was talking about maybe this is a time I should pivot my career again. I think I'm not reading it right now, but Adam's in product management and he's been applying for those types of jobs. But he was basically asking the LinkedIn world, hey, should I pivot to a new industry to, think about what my transferable skills are? A quick cursory, non-scientific, scrolling of the comments, opinion on that was pretty much 50-50. I'm going to come in the middle. Why not plot 2 paths, right? You could keep applying for the jobs that you've done all along that you have obviously relevant experience in, but then start making a list of other jobs, other types of roles. This takes some research, right? But that you could have transferable skills in, and start developing resumes that really highlight those transferable skills. It's going to take some massaging of your resume, so to speak, to make it applicable. AI helps. But maybe you plot two paths, right? So you're kind of running parallel job hunts in that regard. So it may be a career pivot, it may not be a career pivot, but I say cast a wide net. The other thing too is while you're doing this, and this may be another time to set, during your day for some reflection, is start keeping a running list of what accomplishments you're most proud of, right? Because first of all, this list will be good to bring things back to the forefront of your mind about where you excelled, where you felt your best, right? And write those down. I think, and I know it's silly, and I sometimes roll my eyes when people say, oh, journaling and everything. But in this regard, I think it's super important because it gets your mind off of the dark place and what has happened into, hey, I do have value. I do have self-worth. And here's all the stuff I did, right? Especially if you can tie data and results and how you impacted the business positively into those examples. This is your interview answers, right? For when you finally get that interview. So start jotting that stuff down. And you never know some of these jobs you're looking at may spark a memory of something you had forgotten about that you had accomplished. Put it on that list. It's really important to focus on what you did well. Focus on other reviews, other feedback you've been given, recommendations you've received on LinkedIn or otherwise. That stuff is going to help shift your mindset from, fixed in the past to growth moving forward. So be thinking about that. Speaking of a mindset shift, I'm going to talk about a model right now, but please don't run away. I promise it won't be boring. It's actually, I will tell you, normally when somebody throws a model at me, I'm just like, right? So if I think about, and I don't want to totally badmouth these things, Myers-Briggs or DISC. I was a DISC trainer. I guess I still am. I got the certificate somewhere, but I only found, I guess, some value in those. One system I found a lot of value at was something called the SCARF assessment. SCARF. And I'm going to link that in the description below. But what it does is it helps you understand what puts you in a threat state. So 2 examples here. One about me, it helped me realize, which should have been kind of obvious, but it wasn't at the time, that when I took this assessment, which is free, so I get nothing out of this, but when I took that assessment, if my relationships, which is the R in the SCARF model, if my relationships are put in jeopardy, I get weird. I will avoid having difficult conversations with somebody if I think it's going to jeopardize my relationship with them, or that they won't like me or whatever it is. Now, once I knew that, I could then figure out a way to, as an example, have that difficult conversation with somebody while still maintaining the respect of that relationship, and that the relationship wouldn't be in question moving forward. So it helped me actually work through it, and kind of, it was a breakthrough moment for me. So if I go back to, say, Adam as our example today, certainty, I would assume the C in the model, the part of the model that puts him in a threat state. So his certainty about the future, about his job prospects, about his value, about where the rent is going to come from, all of that is in question. So the question is then, what things do I need to put in place to give me even just a little bit more certainty? So maybe it is volunteering. Maybe it is getting a side hustle. Maybe it is doing contract work or freelance work, those types of things. Even if it just chips away to where you're not as much in a threat state as you were yesterday, that is a win, and you can build on that. Because think about it, the brain is, and I'm not a psychologist, but it's just kind of basic, right? If you're so worried about, the future, or you are in a threat state, your brain is going to have fewer ideas. It's going to have fewer insights. It's not going to be motivated to do anything else because it's so focused on meeting your basic needs. Now, if you start moving along the continuum to where you're more in a reward state, again, by doing the volunteering or all the stuff that actually fills your bucket, suddenly your brain is open to new ideas. And that could come from doing that type of stuff. It could come from connecting with other people. All of that stuff puts you in a better mindset. Does it happen overnight? No. But if you make a plan and start sticking to it, with regard to, like I said, exercising, applying for jobs for just a little bit during the day and then stopping, connecting with other people, right? All of that will start playing into a better mindset for you. And it does come time when you do get that interview, all of this work you're doing is going to pay dividends because you're walking in there, you feel confident, you've got a refreshed list of all of your accomplishments. And when they're asking you questions, they are just hanging on your every word because you're giving them these well thought out answers because you've done your homework, you've done your research. So think about that. Again, I've linked the SCARF model in the description below. I got a lot out of it. I hope you will too. Again, I get nothing out of this except hopefully give you a tool that can give you some insight to help get you from a fixed mindset into more of a growth mindset. So then, the other thing I looked at as I was looking at both Lauren and Adam's LinkedIn posts was what people were saying, right? So again, I've been peppering my conversation today with this camera with some of the stuff that I saw people suggesting. So from the LinkedIn community with respect to their posts where, you know, think about entrepreneurship. You know, maybe you want to, this is a time to start your own business. Maybe you want to start your own YouTube channel. Hi, I'm a visual aid. Or freelancing, right? Because these opportunities may be time limited, but they could lead to something more permanent. So really think about that. Leverage those past connections, right? We've all got these large, you know, I got 2,000 LinkedIn connections. And you never know when you might just reach out to somebody and hit them at the right moment. So pick 5, send them a message today. Hey, I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to let you know I'm in the job market again. I would really appreciate your support. If you know anything, please connect me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My friend Anthony today, as a visual aid, as we've been sitting here, my phone's been lighting up because I used to work with him at Pepsi, I don't know, circa, let's say 2014, maybe a little earlier. And we've been connections ever since. And he said to me today, hey, I was just thinking about you and suddenly your name popped up on LinkedIn. That's not going to lead to a job offer for me or anything. That's not what I'm looking for. But I just underscore that is, had he not reached out to me, we might not have been chatting back and forth now. So reach out to those past connections is my long-winded way of talking about it. And that could yield some fruit as well. Or just you may actually brighten somebody else's day because you're reaching out to check in on them. And that's helpful too and could be bucket filling for you. Expand your search. Think about those related roles. We talked about that, having that dual kind of job search path, right? You know, you've got what you've currently done historically, right? So in Adam's case, it's product management, but over here, you're kind of thinking outside the box and other roles that you could look at from a transferable skills perspective. So think about those things. Think about remote work. Maybe now you're suddenly, you know what? I could be open to relocation, right? So you're not limiting yourself to one metro area. You're thinking outside the box and really being open to, you know, whether it's remote work or whether it's moving across the country or heck, moving around the globe. That could be an opportunity as well. So try to, again, cast that wide net and you never know what kind of fruit that will yield. I've been rambling for a little while. I was just moved by those 2 posts and countless more that I haven't seen. First things first, Adam, Lauren, you're not alone. Lots of people are going through the same thing right now, and it has been somewhat heartening to me to see the outpouring of support from strangers for the both of you. And I think that's super important to support each other, even if it's just a kind word during these types of times or situations. So that's important. Your skills are still valuable. I know it's hard to believe that right now, but believe me, you still have value to offer to another organization, another team, another leader. Take those small steps, though. That's the other thing, too. It's like sometimes we're constantly, and I'm guilty of this, constantly comparing ourselves to other people. They've taken a long time to get where they're at, so you just need to take it day by day, set small goals, and then it'll start building and compounding. And suddenly 2 weeks will go by, and you're like, wow, I feel better. I'm in a better state of mind. Now I'm ready to get that next job or I'm showing up better. Like I said at the beginning, I'm on a mission to share what I've learned at all those amazing companies. And if you found any of this of value, I'd appreciate a like. I'd appreciate a comment, letting me know who you are, what you're going through, and if I can help you celebrate any wins, I would love to do that. And then again, I'd be honored if you would subscribe to this channel. It helps me out and kind of what I'm trying to do with the channel. With that, I will say I wish you well. Adam, Lauren, best of luck. And if I can do anything for either of you, please send me a message. So until next time, my name's Rob, and I will catch you soon. Bye. This video was recorded and produced by Just Talk Studios, the premier video podcasting studio in Bellevue, Washington. Visit justtalkstudios.com to learn more and book your session today.